Brentford 4, Manchester United 0. We're here for the review after what is, I would say, inarguably United's worst ever Premier League defeat, especially when you factor in the optimism around the season, the new manager, how bad it was last season, the sort of it can only get better kind of end to the season we had last year, and for it to get even worse is genuinely mind-blowing. 4-0 down after 30 minutes against Brentford. Mistakes coming from David De Gea, from Eriksen, from Maguire, from Shaw, from pretty much everyone you can possibly imagine. It's just an absolute low point, this, isn't it, Jay? Like, what? I almost don't know what to say. I can't believe we're seeing what we've just seen there.
No, I can't. You know, I predicted 3-0 to Brentford for the preview, and I said I wasn't trying to be funny. I genuinely thought this was a team that had fight, had bottle, had desire, had heart, had shown that in their opening fixture against Leicester City, where they came from, I think, 2-0 down to draw 2-0. And against going up against United team, who, despite having a new manager who's come in, just look like the old team against Brighton. And when I say the old team, I mean the Ralph Rangnick team, not the Sir Alex Ferguson team or one of the better teams. I mean a team that didn't want to play for each other, didn't understand the system, didn't win the individual battles. There was no coherence with the attack. And I just feel as though what's needed isn't just a bit of a repair job. It's a massive overhaul. It really is. And my big hope with this team has been that Ralph Rangnick, Erik ten Hag could come in and get players who in the past have done well. You pointed out during the watch along, we finished 3rd and 2nd 2 and 3 seasons ago. Do you know what I mean? This isn't a team full of players that are incapable of winning football matches. My hope was that Erik ten Hag could get these players performing to the levels that they had done previously when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for example, was doing well. And they look just as bad as they've always looked. All of them do. Luke Shaw looks awful. Maguire looks poor. Rashford non-existent. Sancho non-existent. You know, Ronaldo just looks disinterested, which is fitting. Dalot just doesn't look like the quality's there. David De Gea is playing as bad as I've ever seen David De Gea play in his career. He was never this bad at Atletico Madrid, let alone for Manchester United. No. And if he was this bad at Atletico Madrid, we wouldn't have bought him. No. So these are all players who are playing the worst football of their career. And it's quite telling that you're struggling that much and you look at your bench and you've got Elanga, who's got, I think, 4 Premier League goals ever to his name. And I know he's only a kid. I'm not having a dig at him. I'm talking about levels we're at and where we're at in a minute.
And the amount of experience on the bench.
Yeah, that's not a dig at him. That's where we're at. So you've got him, you've got Donny van de Beek, who's never done it in Manchester United shirt, really. Some people say he's not been given a chance. We've yet to see him do what he did for us.
He's been here 2 years. Yeah. You get a chance.
Let's start being a bit more honest about some of these players. You've got Scott McTominay, who I thought against Brighton had the worst performance I've ever seen him have, and came on and had a similarly poor performance today. And I don't want to dig him out because he's become a flavour of the month to attack him. Yes. But he's, you know, call it as you see it. He was dreadful again. And you look at it and you just go, where's the hope? Where's the light at the end of the tunnel? Is Erik ten Hag going to be able to turn these players around? Because I'm not seeing any evidence he can. And I'm not blaming him for that. I just don't know if these players are good enough or if they're up for it. Because at the minute, it doesn't look like either of those cases or either of those things are the case.
Yeah, I think we need to be honest about certain things going on in this squad at the minute. Like, David De Gea, I don't think he's capable of playing this sort of football. Luke Shaw doesn't look interested in trying to play this sort of football.
And also, like, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you straight away. But on David De Gea, right, fair enough, you make a good point, and I agree with you about playing this type of football. That's still, and I'm not having to dig at you, but that's still got fuck all to do with not saving a shot from 25 yards out that my 6-year-old daughter could have saved. No,
that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, the second goal was his ball playing ability.
You're right.
The first goal was just, the ball is trickling towards you, and you can't stop it from going in the back of the net. It's like I said it during the watch along, it's like he's got PTSD. No, it's like he steps into the football pitch, he hears that the whistle at the start of the game, he goes, it's happening again! Like, every experience he has and everything he does on the pitch looks to be done by a man that is scared. Yeah. He looks terrified of saving it, of claiming it, of passing. Everything looks like it scares him. Luke, like the whole team looked like it. Luke Shaw, you know, was it the second or the fourth goal, wasn't it, where he's tracking back one-on-one, and he just can't get goal side of his man. Like, if you know your man is faster than you, give him 10 yards, drop off him. Like, it's obvious. If he's faster than you, don't let him get goal side. That is just basic defending.
I just sick of seeing Luke Shaw looking around going like that.
I know,
and all the time. He did it to the linesman last week. Like it's the linesman's fault when the guy was clearly onside.
Yeah.
It's just he's so quick to look around, and you know that's all just pandering to the cameras. That if I do that, then people won't think it's my fault. It's your fault, bro.
Kids
You're not
under
doing your
10s
job.
do that. Take some responsibility. And like, we got to the point where Martinez is being bundled over the line underneath the goal, underneath the crossbar from a corner. And yes, you can, maybe his physicality is not quite there, whatever he got brought off at half time. But that is after a sequence of about 6 corners in a row to Brentford, where they're just pinging the ball into our box. Free kicks and corners, and Dallo gave a free kick away, Bruno gave one away. Then it's corner after corner. They win the ball at the back post, head it back over. The ball is looping over, and then you let your 5'9" centre-back have 2 men on him.
Yeah.
Like, yes, in that, minute instance, if he was bigger, he might have won that header. But that is after 25 minutes of just disgraceful football from Manchester United. Fearful, timid, helpless football from Man United. And again, we're moving through the team. Bruno looks like he wants to throw his arms around more than actually pass. Sancho is anonymous again. Rashford, I thought actually he did a couple of decent things today. I don't think this was his worst game, and he certainly wasn't the worst
Second
player on the
half,
pitch.
he had a couple of moments. I'll give you that.
But again, like, it's
But
not a good performance
reaching.
from him. Yeah.
I don't expect, no disrespect, a player that has got, had seasons where he scored 20 goals back to back. I don't expect him to be 180 minutes into the season, and he's literally done something good for about 2 of those minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree. He wasn't good. He was poor, but I just don't think he was the worst player.
I hear that.
Like, Dallo seems completely ineffectual. There was points where he's missing 1 yard passes to Fred.
You pointed out what a 1 yard pass.
And he missed it by 4 yards.
Yeah.
Like, that is, I would be
Me and
embarrassed
you are a
doing
yard
that.
apart from each other.
Yeah.
I would struggle not to pass you here.
Yeah.
And he sent it over there.
Yeah. And
it was unreal.
And Ronaldo, not just was he, he had a couple of sort of headers from 10, 15 yards out in the second half. But he was anonymous in the first half. He spends half the time dropping deep and getting tackled because he takes slightly too long on the ball and he likes to be fouled. But the fact that he is still playing for Man United when he is literally taken the piss out of a team that is so thin on confidence, so fragile when it comes to unity and togetherness. And he spends all summer fucking it off because he wants to leave. Only it turns out no one wants him anymore because he's 37, and this is what he does. And now he's starting for Man United. When you can't say that his, basically throwing the towel in at the end of last season because we didn't get top 4, which was partly his fault. You can't say that won't have had a negative effect on the dressing room. They look like scared, upset, fallen out players out there. They just look like people who hate each other. Do you know what I mean? There's no cohesion, nothing. So, Ronaldo's whole thing is absolutely shocking. The fact that he's still playing for Man United. If it was anyone else, you'd see it for what it is. Paul Pogba got a reputation for, turning his head and wanting to look at other clubs. He never did this. He never refused to turn up for pre-season, or even if, let's say that was a personal reason, fair enough. Basically came out and spent all summer touting himself out to different clubs around Europe. He never did that. And Cristiano Ronaldo has had the best single season for Man United that I've seen anyone have. Him in the 2008 season is the best season I've ever seen anyone have for Man United. But that doesn't mean you can just take the piss when you come back. And that's what he's doing. And, you can't tell me that someone doing that in the dressing room doesn't have a negative effect on other people, especially when there's the whole captaincy talk. Like, everything is just so weak at the moment. That can be the sort of thing that tips things over the edge. There's so much shit in there. We could just go on forever. Just leave the camera on and just keep talking for fucking hours because everything is wrong at the moment. Look at the distance covered there.
We're just looking at it. It says Brentford covered 109 kilometres, United 95 kilometres. United did 65 sprints, Brentford did 90 sprints. Pressures in the final third, United did 7, Brentford did 21. And there's a damning indictment as well. We knew it, but Brentford the starting 11 cost 55 million quid, United's cost 424 million quid. I'm going to get onto the Ronaldo thing in a minute. I'm going to go through some super chats. And then, in fact, let's start with this, because you just mentioned Ronaldo. Show me this tweet. Right, this is a tweet from Tyrone Marshall at the MEN, who, he's a bit of an oasis in the desert because he's a decent journalist, Tyrone. He says, Ronaldo told to go to the away end, who are giving the rest of the players some stick, so he just turns around, shrugs his shoulders, and walks off.
Do you know why he's done that? Because he genuinely doesn't think he is to blame for any of this.
Yeah.
He thinks, I scored 23 goals. What was it, 23 goals last season?
I think
18 in the Premier League.
yeah.
I scored 18 goals last season. This is their fault.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say that. You are the leading striker for a team that finished 6th.
Yeah.
And he got 6 of those goals in 2 games. And obviously, a hat-trick still counts as a goal. I'm not knocking that. It's like penalties, like anything else. Fair enough.
Especially the Spurs one.
But it's not like he didn't have massive barren spells last season when we were losing games consistently. I know he's 36, whatever. You can say whatever you want about him. You're not going over to the fans when they've just seen, from a lot of those fans, one of the worst results we've ever seen. And you can't go over there and take a bit of stick because you're too big for it and it's not your fault. That's fucking shit.
David De Gea is talking, and I'll pull some quotes in a minute about David De Gea. I want to get into some of the super chats. We've had quite a lot of super chats. You can imagine loads of people comment. I will get to the comments in a minute as well. Alpha Omega says, hey, hustle money. Nick Bristow says, I'm so conflicted. I want my team to win every game, but I feel like if Eric Ten Hag turns this around, we'll never lose the Glazers. Sobayaz says, it's time for me to find a new hobby. I've always wanted to learn to play the piano. It's been a good run, but I'm taking a break until Glazers out. Ed Fallon says we need to stop the Liverpool game again. Fans on the pitch, whatever it takes, need to hit the Glazers in the pocket until they sell up the paddock. Any peaceful protest, I'm well up for. Cough Mike, who's been a member of the first team, welcome to the first team. Arosh Baxi says Eric Ten Hag sacked the players, shocked the entitlement out of them. Panekit says you can't blame Ten Hag totally for the defeat, but not bringing on Garner and using McTominay instead was practically criminal. 4-0 down, it wasn't.
No, it's not. Because and I understand your point about McTominay, but he wasn't brought on to fix the game. He was brought on because he is of a certain standing within that squad where he's the one that should be expected to take the pressure and the difficult moments that will come from losing 4-0. Don't put that on a young player, James Garner, who's never really played for Man United. It's not fair to bring him on at 4-0 and go on, lad, make things better. McTominay earns enough, is experienced enough to have that pressure on his shoulders. That's not fair on James Garner. So that wasn't a tactical thing. That was you deserve, if any one of these players on the bench deserve it, you deserve the pressure that this game has been, brought on us.
Ahmad Abdel Basit says David De Gea reminds me of Fabian Barthez. Burnside is back said how good is Ole. Resonating Silence says if we go into the season with the expectation of finishing in the top half of the table and nothing more than 2 defeats is no big deal. Lowering expectations will lead to less media coverage and may even help the players. Pierre Kidd 86 says everyone is to blame, fans for expecting instant results while simultaneously saying we need time, the board, the media for the non-stop onslaught of negative press. We are a product of our own undoing. I'll get to some of the super chats, some of the other super chats in a minute. Just want to go into the David De Gea quotes. He's just been speaking to Sky Sports News and he says we should react better, I should save the first shot and the result will be different. Sometimes I maybe have to read the game better and go long. I cost 3 points to my team today and it was a poor performance from myself. It was a horrible day. We are not like other teams. They concede first and win 5-1, 6-1. It was an easy save and I felt already it was going down. It was a poor performance. Very honest from David De Gea, but I will disagree on one thing.
Go on.
I don't think he cost us all those 3 points today.
The one thing I will say about that is, and fair play to him because that's the sort of thing that I think he is honest there and you got to take some responsibility. I like that. I don't like his performance, obviously, but I do think he's right. I disagree with you. I think
you think he cost us the game.
Yeah, and I think that obviously there's much bigger issues than David De Gea not saving that first shot. But I think we are so fragile at the moment that if we don't get the first goal, Adam said it on the watch along. If Bruno scores that shot last week, do you know when he's 12, 15 yards out, puts it over the bar, free shot on goal. If he scores that, I think we would probably have beat Brighton. Like, we are so fragile at the minute. If we concede the first goal, it can be any score. Do you know what I mean? We're so weak that I think the first goal is like so crucial for us. Maybe, everyone had a bad day. It wasn't just De Gea. But those two, he said, I should have gone long. That was for the second goal or the third goal.
Yeah.
Where he gives it to Eriksen when he's marked just because he thinks, I've got to play it short, let me play it short. When really, there's no pass on, play it long. Or put it out for a throw-in and scream at people for not making themselves available. What you can't do is give it to a player who is marked inside the 18-yard box. And I think, by that point, we're not coming back from that. We're too weak and we're too scarred from last season to turn it around when you're 2-0 down after obvious and terrible mistakes.
No, I hear you. I just feel that if we had scored that goal under Bruno, or if we hadn't have conceded first there, I still think the opposition would have found a way to beat us. I just do. I just feel that this team just isn't at the races at all. We're not winning anything. We're not winning individual battles. We're not playing like a team. I think there's a belief in Brighton, there's a belief in Brentford that we just don't have. We don't, and we're relying on individuals, and those individuals are poor. Yeah. Like, Eriksen did okay last week. He was one player, did okay, but, we had a 5-minute spell where we got back into the game a bit, and then that was the end of that. Today we didn't even have that. There was no point in that game where you thought Manchester United are going to get anything from this game. After the first 20 minutes, or whatever it was, when Brentford scored quite, 2 goals, one after the other, it was over. But before that, it wasn't like United were dominating. No. We were still sloppy. Do you know what I mean? Rashford and Sancho had done nothing. And those might be your 2 main attackers. Okay, Cristiano Ronaldo as well. Again, he had a couple of headers, but maybe he should have done better on one of them. But it wasn't like United had loads of chances. Their goalkeeper had very little to do. Do you know what I mean? So I just feel that, yes, you're right, David De Gea, regardless of whether you think Costa game or not, had a poor game. The trouble is, 11 players were poor today.
They were.
11 players. And I honestly think, any team in the Premier League, not saying that against Brentford today, would have beaten us. Yeah. I really do. I think we're at the bottom of the Premier League for a reason. And let's face facts as well. We haven't had 2 hard games to start the season. No. Brighton at home and Brentford away were 2 games where you're looking at it and you go, okay, we can go into the Scousers with 6 points. Yeah. We're going into the Scousers bottom of the league.
Perfect. So warm-up matches, get your speed. And get used to playing
Jurgen Klopp
the
would be looking at this now and going, we could go to Old Trafford again and turn them over.
Well, they'll just be
our
thinking,
season
going. Who've we got the week after? I might rest a couple of players at Old Trafford.
Man.
That's what he's thinking. He has to completely fuck up to not beat us next week.
Yeah, exactly.
If we don't lose next week, it's on Jurgen Klopp.
The one good thing about next week is that, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it's like when I said we need to win the second half against Brentford, but if we were to get a draw against Liverpool, it'll feel like a massively positive result. Yeah. After what's gone on. Do you know what I mean? And it shouldn't, because we should be beating everyone at Old Trafford, especially the Scousers. But if we actually got a draw, it'd feel like, you know what? That's a turning point, or that's Eric Ten Hag getting us going. But I just don't think that'll happen. Andreas Cruz says, so the players don't run because of their Glazers. Even a 3rd division team puts in a better fight, no matter if the owner is clueless. Yeah, I hear that. Akshay S says, remember Cuadrado confronting Cristiano in the Juve dressing room? Does anyone at United have the balls to confront CR7 to apologise to the fans?
Ten Hag,
go on.
He was talking after the game. He said, what I asked them to do is play with belief and take responsibility for a performance, and that is what we didn't do. We are 2 weeks into the season, 2 games into Ten Hag's tenure at Manchester United, and already he's calling out the players for ignoring him and for not doing what he's told them to do. It's awful. It is awful.
No, it is. YouTube 15 says, blame all the scouts, blame all the staff. Hasim Han says, Jay not conceding more than 2 goals next week will be nothing short of a victory. Honey Badger says, De Gea killed the game off with those 2 errors. Carl Langley says, I might bet on him getting relegated. Matthew Taylor, I mean, it's all just negative. Yeah, Jonathan Anthony just saying, burn it all down.
I know, I get accused of being weirdly positive at times. And Scotty was called toxic
positivity.
I can't think of a single positive from that. I'm not even in your wildest dreams, you can't go, well, at least there was nothing.
No.
Nothing. Not one player did anything above a bang average footballer today.
I mean, we said this under Ralph Rangnick, and he said it himself in a press conference. He said, the good thing now is there's no denying what needs to take place here. That was what he said. The one positive is you can see what is going on and what needs to change. And yet we're here again, getting battered again off mid-table teams, saying we need an overhaul, we need to change, the owners need to go, we need new players. We know all this, but nothing does change.
Do you think we absolutely shit ourselves and start panic buying now?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Savage,
we'll know, won't we? We'll know.
Get fucking if Leroy Later up front.
If the Glazers think, right, we need to spend some money now just to placate the fans or just to keep the sort of cash cow chin on a bit more, or the other option might be to just not do that and, just keep going, just keep bunkered down in Tampa or wherever it is they live and not do anything like that. Go on, you've got another quote in.
Ten Hag says,
super chats and then we'll wrap
it's difficult for me and it's a surprise. The team has to take the responsibility and I feel sorry for the fans. We let them down. Only when we stick together will we overcome it. Don't get me wrong, the manager is the main responsibility and I take that, but I have to give them belief and they have to get it by themselves. I mean, they're not doing what he's told them to, are they?
No.
This is a team that is playing with blindfolds on, with fucking things over the this is a team that is just playing on instinct at the minute. Yeah. Fear and instinct are the only tactics United have got. They're not following any instructions. They're not learning. They're not adapting to the new system. This is exactly the same as last season. There is no difference.
No.
And that is on the players because you can't tell me that Ten Hag and Rangnick didn't give them a single bit of advice or a single tactic between them.
No.
We're just seeing what we saw when Ole got sacked. Hopelessness.
It is hopelessness. Johnny Knapp says all his stock goes up by every week, week by week.
So
Robert
does
Wilhelm
Jose's.
says maybe this needs to happen for major changes to happen.
I don't think it does.
Short-term success can tape over issues that need to be fixed. Listen,
Hopefully.
we've got more reviews coming up. We've got Adam McCall's review. We've got Andy Tate's review. We've got Stephen Howson's review as well. I'm interested in what all them lot have got to say.
Yeah,
but it's been an awful day for Manchester United. Jonathan Mallet says it's time to bench Bruno. Thoughts? Listen, you could bench them all, in my opinion. Honestly, just awful, awful, awful. We're rock bottom in more ways than one. A rock bottom result and rock bottom of the Premier League. Manchester United needs some major, major surgery. Yes, the owners need to fuck off. We know that. But in the meantime, we need to see some improvements on the pitch. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Make sure you're hitting subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. I think there should be a link in the chat to the subscribe. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel. That's been Joe Smith. Go and find him on your socials, Joe Smith 93. You know where to find me as well, Jay Motti. This has been the review after Manchester United had one of the worst performances ever, to be honest with you. Thanks for watching.